Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Tea Time with Danica Favorite. And today's tea I'm really excited about. It is Plum Deluxe hand blended teas, and it is called Evening in the Garden Herbal. It's 4 o'clock here in Denver, and so I only drink decaf or herbal teas after noon. And so this is honeybush tea, elderflower, rose, lemon, and natural flavor. A little suspicious about what natural flavor is, but it's okay. It's a really pretty golden color. Tastes pretty good. And then if you look at the tea leaves, you see like all the different herbs and things that are in the tea. And so, it's really fun. Just kind of poke in there, see what you've got. And just a really nice tea. I thought it was appropriate today. So I'm getting ready to go on a trip. And I've been doing a lot of organization and things like that. And so I actually just spent the afternoon sitting in my patio, admiring the garden and doing things to get organized. So I thought, oh, cool. Now I'll spend the evening in the garden. So very perfect and appropriate. So as I mentioned, I'm getting ready to go on a trip. And so next week, I will be coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Yes, exciting, exciting, exciting. And I'm not sure what time I'll be doing this. This trip, I land at 9 o'clock in the morning, and because I'm taking a completely different flight route, completely different airline. So this is going to be really different for me, and it will be fine. And but I usually land about 2 p.m. instead of 9 a.m. And so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be exhausted and jet lagged. But maybe not, because I said to my doctor, hey, I've really been struggling with sleeping on planes. These overnight flights have really been hard on me. What do you recommend I do? Can you give me some suggestions? And she actually just said, Danica, I'm giving you Xanax, which is hilarious. I've never taken it before. So I was nervous about that. And I did a test run the other night. I took it, went to bed. Woke up a little groggy, but once I got out of bed and moving, I did great and I felt great. And I had a very energetic day yesterday because of that. And so I'm not nervous about taking it now. I'm not going to be one of those weirdos on the plane who loses it in the middle of the flight because they've taken a new drug. I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? I had mentioned to previous doctors, like their suggestions, and they were all like, take melatonin, do this, do that. And I did all those things. And so when this doctor's like, okay, well, what are you doing? I was able to tell her I've tried this, all the things. And so I just want to encourage those of you who are like me and really don't like pharmaceuticals. Like I really, a couple years ago, if you said, oh yeah, you're just going to take Xanax, I would have been like, no, I'm not. That's just not me. And I would take every herb. Trust me when I say I have purchased and tried and used every herbal thing on the market that I'm not allergic to, and it hasn't worked. So I'm excited that this is going to happen. But even though I will hopefully have a really great sleep on the plane on the way over, I get in at 9 a.m. So I will drop my bags off at the hotel. I'll find something to do until they let me into my room. And so whatever time that is, depending on what I find to do, all that stuff, they are 8 hours ahead of my normal time here in Colorado. So like right now, it's actually midnight in Budapest. So it'll be a much earlier time in the day for you all when I go live. So, but I am still going to try to do it because I think it will be fun to be able to share my experiences as I'm traveling. I'm going to be traveling the next few weeks. For those of you who are robbers intending to rob my house while I'm gone, I have neighbors and they are nosy. I mean, seriously. As I mentioned on my last lives, while I was gone on my last trip, there was a fire, and my neighbors took care of everything because they're awesome and they're amazing. And, like my one neighbor is going to come over, water all my plants. So all the plants that I planted and was so excited about, they will be taken care of. He loves doing it. He's so excited to be able to do this for me. So, yeah, I know it's weird to tell people, oh, it's always, you've got to be careful about stuff like that, but I'm not worried, totally safe, because, my neighbors are super nosy, like super nosy. And they see everything, they know everything, they watch everything. So I'm not really worried. But I will be gone for a while, and I'm going to try to do my Sunday tea time every Sunday while I'm gone as much as I can. Internet availability providing and all that good stuff. And also I'm going to multiple cities, so I may just try to pop on and do a live while I'm doing that. And so I really hate, here's the thing about doing lives. I have to blow my nose because my allergies are really, really bad right now. So hold please. I want to see, I'm trying to find out how I can mute myself because you all do not need to experience. Okay, hopefully that worked. If it didn't work, I'm very sorry. But I've had, so I live in this apartment with no air conditioning. So I've had all the doors and windows and everything open just to let a breeze in, because we've had a nice breeze outside. When I came to sat down here at my computer, I had to turn my fan on because it just was so hot. And that's kind of why, everyone's like, oh, it's so hot in Europe. It's so hot in Europe. And I'm like, hi, I live in America where I don't have air conditioning either. So I'm perfectly content. And I have my own little strategies that I'll be doing while I'm in Europe. And so, I'm going to be having a fun adventure, and I'm going to write about my trip. I don't know yet fully the form that it's going to take, because a couple years ago, I did this travel log, excuse me, with this intention of putting it together in, like, you guys, people follow me on my journey. And it was for subscribers. They could follow me on my journey, and the high level subscribers I would send them a little something from my trip. And I just couldn't keep up with posting and all of that. And so unfortunately, no one was subscribed at the really high level where I had to send them all the stuff, which was good. However, that said, if you are a paid subscriber to my Substack and you would like me to bring you back a little something from my trip, I will do that for my paid subscribers. And, just like little, I don't know, do people send postcards these days? I was trying to find that out because I had a friend who used to send postcards whenever she traveled, and she didn't. So let me know. And I will open this up to anybody. If you want me to send you a postcard, drop me a line, send me your address. I will do my very best to send you a postcard. If I can't do it while I'm in Europe, I will definitely do it when I get back. So that might be a little fun thing. And like I said, paid subscribers, I'll get you a cute little something on my trip. So let me know, what are you curious about with my trip? So without further ado, I'm going to tell you about my trip. So I go to Budapest every summer for work. The company I work for is headquartered there. And so our leadership team meets every June and every December in person to discuss planning and things like that. And then we have our big company party, and I get to go to that. And so it's always really fun, and we get to do a lot of great planning. That it's so important to have that in-person team building and synergy that happens. However, since I'm in Europe anyway, I'm like, okay, The expensive part of going to Europe is getting there. It's the flight to and from Europe. And so I try for the June one. I haven't done it yet in December, and I keep thinking that one of these years I'm going to also do this in December. It's so cold. I don't want to go anywhere in December, so that's why I haven't yet. But anyway, when I'm there in June, it's like, man, like go explore Europe. And so I've gotten to have some really great trips. And this summer, I have decided I'm going to do a train trip. And this is where I really love AI and ChatGPT and planning. And this is actually going to be part of the book that I'm writing, because what I did is I went into ChatGPT and I said, Chat, I am going to do a train trip from Budapest to the beach. It's summer. I want to go to the beach. Tell me where I can go. And so Chat came back with some, I said, what are reasonable beach distances, So Chat gave me some options. Basically, Croatia or Italy were the two main options it gave me. I went to Croatia a couple years ago, so I didn't want to do Croatia again. I would do it again. Don't get me wrong. I really loved Croatia. I highly recommend it. I will definitely go back to Croatia at some point, but my other goal in this trip that I didn't tell Chat was I want to go someplace I've never been. I want to check off a few more countries off my list. And so Italy fits the bill because I've never been to Italy. My family's background is Italian, although it's southern Italy. I'm staying in northern Italy, so I won't actually get to connect with family roots. But how cool is that? I still get to go to Italy. And so it's a 15-hour train ride from Budapest to the beach in Italy. And the beach town that it gave me is a town called Trieste. And, oh yeah, I forgot. I told you all about that because I told you I read this book about Trieste. So breaking up the train trip, because I am not going to sit on a plane for 15 hours. I already hate sitting on a plane for 8 hours. So what I'm doing is, so I'm breaking it up. I'm going to stay in Vienna for a night. I have a friend who lives in Vienna, and we're going to have dinner or something. And then early the next morning, take the next train to Ljubljana, Slovenia. And so what I'm reading now, it's called Forbidden Bread by Erica Johnson de Beliac. And it is about her, it's a memoir of her moving to be with her husband in, oh my gosh, why can't I think of Ljubljana? There we go. And so she was there basically at the fall of communism. And so it's a much older experience, but I really do enjoy reading the backgrounds and the history of where we're going, because I think it just gives a much richer experience to that city, that country. And I'm really fascinated by the whole post-communism environment because I spent a lot of time in Hungary now, and Hungary is, when I first went there, it was just really interesting to see that difference between we used to be communist and now we're not, and we're technically free, but we're under a pretty authoritarian regime, even though it's technically a democracy. And now this year they've had their elections, and this leader is much less authoritarian. And so I don't know what that's going to look like. And maybe it isn't any different. I don't know. But it's so interesting for me to understand and see the historical and cultural context of what's happening in the countries where I'm visiting. And so that was very cool and interesting to me. And so I'm excited to have this book. I'm, about this way through. And so, oh yeah. So you want to see my bookmark? Pottery Barn sample of fabric, because this is my new couch that I'm getting. So this is the fabric I'm getting. So anything can be a bookmark, even your couch sample. Boom. So anyway, I'm really excited to be reading that book and just learning about it And then I'll spend a few days there in Ljubljana. And then I will take a bus. Actually, I found that it was cheaper and more efficient to take a bus from Ljubljana to Trieste. And so I'm going to do that. And it's been really interesting because as I am reading Forbidden Bread, and even actually as I read Trieste, the thing that I have learned is that the cities have always been really deeply connected for trade reasons. And one of the cool things about Trieste that I did not know, how many of you have read James Joyce and all of his, I don't know about you, but when I was in college, I had to do a whole James Joyce literature study. And so he actually wrote a lot of his work while he was teaching at the Berlitz Language School in Trieste. And when you read his story about his life, one of the places he stopped was here in Ljubljana, although it was just overnight. And anyway, that's a whole thing. It's really interesting reading it from both perspectives, from like the Trieste perspective and the Ljubljana perspective. And again, just really understanding where these literary greats lived and worked and what inspired their work. And that fascinates me as a writer. And so I'm going to immerse myself in the culture of these places. And I'm spending a couple days in Ljubljana, a couple days in Trieste, and then from Trieste, I'll take the train into Venice, and I'll spend my final few days in Venice, exploring Venice. And weirdly, Venice, I am least excited to visit. I don't like crowds, and all of the other places that I'm going are not going to be super crowded. There's still going to be a tourist element and things like that, but it's not going to be super crowded and overrun with tourists. And then my final leg is going to be tourist central. And so I've been weirdly anxious about the Venice leg of my trip. And I did some rim work around that. And then last night I went out for wine with my best friend. And we were talking, and she's just like, you just don't seem as excited about this trip as you usually are. And I said, I just have this weird nervousness. And part of it is that every time I go on to Facebook or Instagram, I am fed reels about pickpockets and how bad they are in Italy. And I've been to Europe many, many times. I've been in high pickpocket areas, London, Paris, etc. I have never worried about it. And yet, this is the power of social media, because I have all of this anxiety about, oh my goodness, what am I going to do for pickpockets? And so I bought this anti-pickpocket bag that all my friends recommended. I've been using it as a purse lately just to test it out and be more comfortable with using it so that I'm not fumbling with zippers and things like that, making me a target. And then I have been on this quest to find one of those cord things to hang your phone around your neck. I got one. I was super happy, and it didn't fit my phone. And I could see the piece didn't quite fit. And so I needed something with a different piece. And I went out, I looked for it. I finally found one. And I kind of cobbled together this anti-theft phone thing, which is so weird, but I just really feel a lot better. And so today I went shopping for some of the final pieces that I needed for my trip. And I had both my phone and my anti-theft purse, and I was walking around, and it is really clunky and weird. And so we'll see if I like it. But I really did want the phone around my neck situation happening, because I'm going for almost 3 weeks. Actually, I'm going for 3 weeks, and I'm traveling carry-on only. So I'll have my small carry-on suitcase and my backpack, and that's it. And so what I chose for wardrobe is I am wearing almost all dresses, and they do not have pockets. And the ones that have pockets are not pockets I would trust with my phone. And so the phone around the neck, rather than having to keep pulling it in and out of my purse, feels more secure to me. Whether or not that's true, it doesn't matter. It's what makes me feel better. But anyways, I was talking to her and she's like, yeah, it's just social media feeding your fears. And I said, yeah, I know, you're right. And I know better. And I'm not sure why I'm so anxious about it. And we were talking about a lot of other things and some things with my ex and things with my divorce. And this morning I woke up with the realization that there's still those wounded pieces of me where things were said to me that were not great and that really have still remained in my psyche as things I need to worry about. And some very limiting beliefs. I messaged my friends, Jill and Dana, today, like, oh my gosh, I just uncovered another limiting belief. And that limiting belief is really all around, like, I don't get to go on a vacation and truly enjoy myself. Like, so far, every trip, every vacation I've been on since my divorce has been something that I could easily justify or really like make it like there were all pieces that were like gifts or things like that made it feel easier to say, oh yeah, I'm going to Europe this summer. Because there are pieces of it that were just taken care of by other people for me and things like that I didn't have to worry about. Like, this is all me. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm paying for it. Like, I earned the money to pay for this and I worked hard for this and I've been saving and planning and doing all of the things. And there was a part of me that was afraid to enjoy it because of all the different limiting beliefs that had been put on me by other people. And so now that I recognize it, I'm like, oh wait, no, that isn't true. I get to go and enjoy myself in Europe, regardless of who's paying for it, regardless of how it came to be, whatever lucky thing happened. It doesn't matter. I get to enjoy it because I'm worthy of enjoying it. And so it was so interesting for those of you who saw my full moon video, you saw where I like took down all those limiting beliefs that I was affirming are no longer true, and all those affirmations that I was using that I'm like, yeah, it works. I don't believe that about myself anymore. And that's the thing about our limiting beliefs, is that it's just further deeper excavation and realizing that some of this excavation around my finances and around my worth and what I deserve, and recognizing that I've always been the person who gets the stuff last. And I'm not that person anymore. I get to be first. I get to go out and buy myself nice things. I get to go on a nice vacation. And it isn't like I'm going on this huge, luxurious trip, by no means. And according to some people, it would be luxurious, but I'm not staying at the Ritz or anything like that. And I actually wouldn't want to. Like, I'm staying in the exact places I want to stay. And I'm really happy about that. I found some really lovely Airbnbs that I'm staying at the whole time, like at each stop. And I chose those intentionally for their location and also because they all have laundry facilities. So again, small carry-on. I'm going to have to do laundry, and I'm excited about that. And so what I want to encourage you about is when you are looking forward to something and someone's like, hey, you're not as excited, or you and yourself are like, I'm not feeling excited. Sit down and talk to yourself and say, hey, what is that about? Why am I feeling that way? And you might just uncover something or not, but it's always good to explore that and figure out where these things are coming from. And so now I'm excited. And after I met with my friend, I found the coolest thing. Check this out. Okay, so before I had my pens all in these random pouches. It's a makeup organizer, but first of all, I don't wear that much makeup. What you see, this is no makeup. Sorry if that offends anyone, but it's how I choose to live my life. But look at this, okay? So you look inside, there's like this. I've got like some glue and some scissors. The travel safe scissors, thank you very much. I've traveled with the same pair of scissors for 20 years. And then my pens. And then these are colored pencils, but they're watercolor pencils. And I was testing them out, so I know they're going to work great. And then here are more pens and highlighters and markers. And then here I've got some paint brushes and some other random pens. And I'm so excited because it's all organized. And now I can see it rather than having to like dump out this whole pencil bag, which is what I've done for years and years and years. And it annoys me. And they're like these two bulky bags. And so this is a little bulkier than I wanted it to be. But you see how many pens and markers and pencils I have in here. So, I got to be a little more realistic in that expectation. But this is like about the bulk of, that it'll be much easier to travel with and much easier to find my pens and all of the stuff for my art supplies. And still deciding on what I'm going to do for my journal, my art journal, all of that. I may have posted in my notes yesterday. I think it was yesterday. But go back, check out my notes, and you can see I posted a picture of all of my current journals laid out in my living room floor. This is how robust of a journaling practice I have. Every journal has its own purpose. And I was really getting stressed out over, okay, well, what now? And what do I bring? Because I always feel like when I'm there on a trip, something about the journal that I chose isn't right. And and I really do. I'm like a weird Goldilocks person. Like I have to have my notebooks a certain size and a certain feel. And if all of those things are perfectly right, I can't write as well. And it's so weird that I'm like that. But this is why I have a million journals, and it works for me, and I love it, and it makes me happy, except for when I'm traveling. And then when I travel, it's like I'm like, okay, wait, this doesn't work anymore. So we're going to see. And so when you hear from me on my live from my trip, I will show off what I have chosen for my journal. So that will be exciting. And I encourage all of you who are listening, watching, please feel free, like even as you're watching the replay, let me know what questions you have. What do you think would be interesting? Like I said, I am turning this into a book. And so tell me things you want me to address in my book. And one of the things that I will be talking about, as I mentioned, ChatGPT told me which cities it recommended for me to go to for the beach. And so part of my experiment of where I'm going on the trip is my itinerary was very loosely planned by AI. And what I did is I went to ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, and I said, here is this trip I'm taking. Here's what I want to do. What do you recommend? And so I had like all of these different recommendations and all these different AIs kind of telling me their thoughts and giving me ideas of where to go. And it was really fabulous because some of the things that they gave me were things that I hadn't thought of or I didn't know about that aren't in the guidebooks. But then when I researched further, because we do know that when the AI tells us to do something, we always verify. So I did verify, and they are legit things. And so I'm excited because I'm going to be doing some different and unusual things that are exciting and make me happy. So yay. Anyway, that is what today's Sunday tea time is all about. And like I said, I'm really excited. I would love for you all to follow along with me on my trip. I'm going to try to do tea time every Sunday as I'm gone. And I will also, in each city, I'm going to try to find a time to go live or do something fun in that city. I don't know yet how it will work or if it will work, but you never know until you try. So I hope you all have a really great rest of your Sunday, and I will talk to you again soon.